following content contains topics of discussion that may act as a trigger for some viewers. Please continue with care. If you or someone you know is in need of immediate assistance, please call 911 to reach local authorities or 988 for the Suicide Crisis Helpline. Tackle Mental Health is dedicated to helping manage the effects of the mental health crisis by talking about mental health, sharing experiences, and continuing to be there for one another. Really, my mental health really started to deteriorate once I started smoking pot. I don't know if you are a weed smoker or not, but I hated it growing up, man. My father was a pot smoker, is probably still a pot smoker. It wasn't until I moved to New Brunswick when I really started to smoke weed. Like when I was living in Ontario, in Hamilton, I did smoke, I'd smoked weed a few times, but I hated it, man. I trip out. I remember this one time, I'll just share a quick story because it's funny. My brother, he played hockey most of his life. I think he started when he was 6 years old. A really good hockey player. And he was playing for our high school, grade 9, playing on the senior team, first time ever playing contact hockey. And I always went to his games, man. I was up on the board, smacking the glass, cheering him on. I never played hockey myself, can't skate. You would never know. I got a lot of hockey jerseys up, but I've never played hockey. I love the sport and I love watching it, especially my brother. But man, I skipped my last period of class. He played at 3 o'clock. I was done class at 2:30. So I skipped that class. I was done class now, 1:30, let's say. Went over to my boy's house. Second time I ever smoked a bong toke. And they were like, man, it's just a short bong. You're fine. You can hit it. So I did, man. I smoked it. And it was one of those curly bongs. They called it the King Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they greasied me, bro. So I take this toke, and one quick little toke, I'm chewed, man. I'm sitting there like this, frozen, tweaking, don't know what's going on, tunnel vision. They walk me down to the hockey arena. My stepfather's there watching my brother play, and usually I'm up in the glass screaming. I'm sitting there, hood on, man, just following the puck like this. He didn't really know what was going on. But yeah, that was my second time ever getting high, and I hated it. Very first time was just as bad. Just as bad, man. But yeah, irrelevant, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess, kind of quick story, it really goes hand in hand. What you said there, it was around the same age as you, and it's my first time. Boys built a little fort, the days, you're a young kid, right? Get out of the house, built a fort in the woods, and we went down to smoke. A couple of my buddies smoked before. I went down there and, not trying to be big hero, but they packed me a bowl. So I don't know if you ever done a bucket. You know what buckets are?
A pail, yeah.
Yeah. So it was one of those. And literally, I know they packed me a keef bowl. So take the bucket or whatever, and you keep hauling, right? I just kept going. I was like, shit, it's a 1 liter friggin' bottle you're filling up, right? So I smoke it, whatever. It's fine for 5 seconds, and then it was just bang. I was oh, wow.
Just right away.
Right away. And I remember I left our little fort area, and I was leaned back on a tree like this. I was holy Jesus. Next thing I know, just puking.
You greened out.
Greened out, very first time. Haven't greened out since, though, and I've had many more times where I've smoked pot, I guess, but...
Have you smoked buckets since?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, nice.
We did it last year, actually, in our house. I think that buckets are the cheaper version, right? Go out and buy $150 bong. But
right.
We have bongs now, but we were let's bring her back to the old days. So right. I did that. Wasn't keef, but no. So that was an experience because I remember one of my buddies was letting me drag me up. My buddy lived on a hill. So he dragged me up the hill to go back to the house because we snuck out, right? So then I get back and it was just out cold. I felt stoned for 3 days.
Jeez.
But no, it was crazy.
Burnt out.
Yeah, burnt out. But yeah, I guess kind of irrelevant too. But it's kind of the same first story, I guess. But
yeah, no, it's a great way to start. I think, especially my mental health issues started after I started smoking weed, consistently, I suppose. So I guess it is a good way to start, just figuring out the first times we smoked. And then when I moved to New Brunswick, I was alone, I guess. So I moved here. I got the job at the Algonquin, which is a great place to work for young people. Oh man, best golf course, yeah. And I was working in the kitchen, I guess. But well, yeah, I was alone. So the first month before I started work, I moved into my mom's house. She was still in Ontario. She bought a home here, so I had moved here, was living in that house, and so parents weren't there, siblings were still in Ontario. Um, I had no friends. I didn't know anybody. I had just moved here, so I started I was alone pretty well for that first month. I met my first friend. Her name's Aislinn. She was such a sweetheart. And then her boyfriend at the time, his name's Jay, who's like still my buddy to this day, one of my best friends. Lives out in Calgary now, but that was kind of like I started hanging out with them, and then I started working the Algonquin, and my buddy Mike, another great guy, but doesn't always make the best decisions. Shout out Mike. Sorry, bro, throw you under the bus. But yeah, so I started like smoking weed with him, and we'd go to my house on the weekends when we're not working, because I would live at the hotel during the week, and then we'd go back to my house on the weekends. And I started out of a water bottle bong, bro. Just made like a water bottle bong, stuck a pen in it.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Classic,
old school. Yeah. And that's kind of where it started for me. And pretty well from, I want to say like that day on, I stayed high for so many years, man. Like any chance I could get, I just, for whatever reason, I got that like paranoia and that like tunnel vision freakness. Like obviously the tolerance helps.
Well, it's an escape, right? Like, if you're ever feeling any sort of way, like, you get to a point where your first thing would be like, oh, let's go take a toke. You get super high and don't really think of anything in the world, right? So I think that's an escape for a lot of people, and that's what happened to me a few times, right? Like, come home stressed out, or like, right, 3 midterms, first thing I'm doing is probably ripping the bong.
That's right.
Just chillaxing, right? So, yeah, I think a lot of people do use it, like, as an escape, so...
And it is a good escape temporarily.
Yeah. Till the next morning.
Yeah, yeah. You made a comment to me earlier that, like, especially when you're going out, to have, like, these fun moments and you're drinking and you're smoking, like, you're borrowing happiness from your future self. So, yeah, sure, it's fun temporarily, but later on there's going to be that down moment.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. When you're borrowing from your future self, like, I truly believe that, because... Sure, I'd get high, and I was at the point where weed wasn't even helping me anymore, you know, and it started affecting me physically, which is kind of why I started like Tackle Mental Health, because I realized how important your physical health was for your mental health, and smoking weed, like I couldn't even run to the end of the driveway and back, like without being out of breath. Yeah, so it is tough. So how'd you quit vaping?
Cold turkey.
You just stopped?
Just absolutely wiped it. I think I was never like into it. It was always like a social thing, right? And like I think it was super popular, probably like three or 4 years ago or something, right? Like high school, like you go to a party, everyone's freaking ripping these vapes, and like 50, like a good thing they kind of stop that now. Whatever, you can only get a certain amount, but. I was doing that, and it affects you. Like, I remember, like, cardio levels go down. Like, you start feeling it in your lungs. So, like, there was one day I was just driving, and I was just like, fuck this, dude. Like, this is just absurd. Like, loses your appetite. Like, I wasn't eating that much, so I was just driving, chucked out the window, and just never looked back. It was tough. Like, it was tough, don't get me wrong. But same thing, like... It disciplines you, right? Like it really like it kind of tests yourself, see how you are, and like it tested me, and I was every day like there's so many days, man, where I was like, I just want to vape rip, and I was like, no. I kept getting back on them again, during like COVID, right? Because it was kind of just like shitty times.
Yeah.
And then when I came up to Fred, like my roommates had them and stuff, so it was always around, like you're always around it, and I find when you're around it a lot, you tend to do it more, right? Like, same with like smoking weed. If like you know a bunch of people around you that are smoking weed, you're probably gonna do it. That's just who I was, right? At the time. Now I have no problem saying no to anything.
Right. Well, you're young, and peer pressure's like a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just being around it, and I don't even think it was like the nicotine that it was like addicting. It was like that rip, right? So
Yeah.
it's like the motion of the rip, like the smoke kind of just going into your mouth, whatever, people doing tricks back in the day, whatever, like ghosts or freaking blowing O's or whatever you
Yeah.
call them. But yeah, just ended up stopping. I kind of just came, like, woke up one day. I was like, this is bullshit. And it's like, this isn't helping me. There's no positive effect to it. So I stopped it, and I can't even remember the last time, like, I ripped it, like, ripped a vape, I guess.
Did you ever smoke cigarettes? Sorry?
No, like, same
No.
thing. Like, they're nasty. Like, obviously, you have the odd, like, drunk dart from time to time.
Yeah.
But I'll never like finish or have a full one myself. Like I don't even think I could finish one, let alone have one sober. Like I
Start
think,
gagging?
yeah, there's one time there, we were drinking, but it was early in the night. And buddy was having one, and he just offered like a drag or whatever, and I was like, like whatever, and like I took a drag of the dart and. I was just like puked. Like I was like, this is disgusting, man. Like I couldn't do it. But yeah, so no vape, no cigarettes. Got the nicotine pouches now, a little different. But
How long's that been a thing for you?
I wouldn't even say it's a thing. Like I don't.
Just occasionally?
Yeah, just occasion. I think a lot of it, like I mentioned earlier, with like the DJing. You party a lot, right? And it's hard. Like we're going on the road. Like Hoko, we played 3 sets in 24 hours, which was tough.
Jeez.
It was super tough, so you're always looking for like a little extra help, I guess.
Right.
And again, same thing, like you get a little head rush. It just kind of takes the edge off a little bit, especially when you're trying to do a job, like kind of bring energy up for people, right? Like you're trying to kind of bring that back a bit yourself. So,
Right.
But yeah, nothing too serious. I think nicotine's not really part of my life.
They say nicotine does help you,
Yeah.
focus and stuff. But like you said, it like suppresses your appetite.
Yeah,
Makes
it
you not wanna
does
eat.
suppress my appetite a little bit. I do use it for, like, if I have a big test or something, right? That and energy drinks, like, superpowers, so.
Yeah. Also bad for you, just by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's terrible, but.
I mean, I'm saying that as I have a coffee right there, so like it's one and one.
Yeah, I got a pouch and an energy drink right here.
Yeah.
Frig.
No, it's all right, man. Like that's one thing about nutrition is you don't have to be like, obviously the more consistent you are healthy eating, like the better it is. But I seen this thing online recently, and it's like there really is no such thing as unhealthy food.
Yeah.
As long as you're having it in moderation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you said about like the suppressing the appetite and stuff. Like when I started smoking, like pot, anyways, almost right away I started smoking Yetis. They call them Yetis here, like in New Brunswick. In Ontario, they call them poppers.
Yeah, we had both back. We called Pop or Yeti.
Yeah, I don't know what else they call them. So if you have a different name for smoking weed and tobacco through a bong, just let us know what you call them, because I love.
Comment down below.
Yeah, that's right. I love hearing the different terms from different places. It's funny. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing for me these days is really to cut back on a lot of that stuff. I don't smoke weed at all anymore, and which was
That's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah, man, it was. Like I would smoke every day, all day, and like I was addicted. Man, I had quit. Even in November, I went to Mexico. And it was tough. The first few days, man, I barely ate anything. Like if I would eat, I would physically feel sick. My body's like, bro, where's this like cannabis? Like I need, to the point where like I met this guy on the beach who was like a third party excursionist, and he had this huge weed leaf tattooed on his chest. And I was like, man, I love that tattoo. He's like, oh, you need weed? You need weed? I'm like, man, I would love to buy some weed. So I got his WhatsApp or whatever, and long story short, man, I held my ground. I didn't smoke weed when I was away. We ended up, like the group I was with, went with a big group for a wedding. They did buy some weed, way overpriced, way less than what they were told, and but it was enough to help them because they were they were or are in the same situation that I was in. They couldn't eat. Their mood wasn't so down. Like you're in Mexico, it's hard to have a bad mood while you're there.
I just went down there last year with my ex-girlfriend, her family, down there for a wedding. It's like super like luxurious resort, and there's stuff everywhere. Like vendors pry to go to those resorts, right? Because they know that like that's where the money is. And yeah, got offered a lot of stuff down there, but it was crazy. I think even like they weren't much of like a party family.
You say they aren't? Sorry.
No, they weren't. No.
Okay.
So for someone who like is a DJ and was a DJ, like it's kind of your vibe. Like I was a night owl, right? Because I'm used to staying up till 4 a.m. playing music, right? And especially on that DJing note, like once you do like have your set till whenever the bars close 2, you're packing up, you're leaving at like 3 by the time you get all your stuff, and then you go home and it's just hard to just like clock it and go to bed because you just had like in your ear for like 4 hours. So yeah, so there's nights where you're up till like 6 o'clock and then just kind of wrecks you for the next few days. And I think that's when I started like kind of looking at weed a little bit to help sleep. Because I was like, frig, this sucks. Like, going out, playing music, and then, like, I have 2 jobs, so I have to go work, like, the next day, right, on, like, 4 hours of sleep. And I was like, oh, this is bogus, man. Like, this is horrible. So, yeah, I started using weed for that. Trying to moving over towards, like, kind of CBD now. Because it wasn't more about let's get high, it's like let's sleep.
Right.
So I think CBD chills you out, right? So obviously there's still a little THC in that, but it's not a big 80-20.
Right.
So started using it for that, and that's helped a bit. But again, trying to get off that as well, because you don't want to get in the habit of, smoking every night to go to bed.
Yeah,
so.
Needing stuff to, I think the big thing is sleep for sure. The sleep is so important. You hear all the time, man, like exercise, sleep, nutrition, and they're huge on mental health. They're obviously huge on physical health. People that are in the gym trying to gain weight, trying to lose weight, they say, nutrition and sleep. Sleep is huge. And I still have issues with sleep. Last night I slept like crap, man.
Yeah.
I think the big thing too, like now that I'm not smoking weed, is while like I have no trouble falling asleep, it's trouble staying asleep. And I have the craziest fucking dreams, the craziest dreams. I'm dreaming about people that I haven't seen like in years and years, and there are things I dream about that I didn't know that I even remembered, and then or people that I remembered who then I look back, I didn't realize like that they were still having an effect on me. And maybe like obviously I don't think about these things like in my day-to-day decisions, but if it's waking me up in the middle of the night, then it's obviously still ingrained into my head and into the decisions that I'm making, even though I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, it's so good to dream though, right? Like you see a lot of these millionaires, billionaires today are saying their best like innovations or best ideas have come from dreaming, right?
Right.
And that's why like I started to try doing exercise, and every morning I wake up, I try to like recall what I dreamt of, right? Because your best ideas. I remember I had this dream once. This was pre-COVID, and what it was I just watched Wolf of Wall Street that night. So,
Nice.
And I dreamt like kind of being in that shoes. Obviously, it's kind of super
Jordan
pushed out, but I dreamt about like me being like in that vibe, like doing stocks, and I woke up and was like recalled my dreams, and I was like, that'd be crazy. So then I started doing research, and I got into the stocks like pretty well, pretty deep in COVID, made a lot of money from it. But it became too much. Like you can't work, be in school, and kind of do that once. Like it comes to a point where you got to make a decision. And I had a few buddies who did drop out of school because they were making so much money, like in cryptos and in stocks. Which I still invest like very regularly, like to this day, but obviously not a big day trader like I was in COVID, right? Because
you got other things going on.
Yeah. Busy.
No, I have a buddy too. He got into trading huge, I don't know if it was during COVID, but he's always been very ambitious and one of the smartest people I know. And man, he made a lot of money. I remember like just post COVID, he was like showing me some of the money he made from trading stocks, and yeah, man, he did well.
Yeah.
And he ended up buying a home. I think he owns 2 homes now. I don't know. I think he's still living at home with his mom, but he owns 2 homes.
See if I can pull some up here. I took some screenshots because even like I was young and I didn't even really believe it myself. Like I was having like $900 profit days, and I was like, oh my god, like why am I working a minimum wage job doing this, bro?
Just made $900 one day.
Yeah, and like 5K months. Like it was crazy, man. It's like it's so hard. Like I could have easily like dropped what I was doing and focused on that full time, but I remember it kind of changed me. Was I went in with my money and I was gonna buy a car, like brand new car, and I was like I was 18 at the time, and I go in and whatever, I'm looking at a car, it's like $40,000. It was like a new like Veloster, like the N lines.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, oh man, that's dope. I think I don't like them anymore, so kind of a good decision. But I remember I was sitting down with like the finance person or the person who's doing the financing for them, and they looked at like my credit, and they're like, you don't have like credit yet. Like I did. I just got like my first card.
Right.
Credit card there at 19, 18, whatever it was. And I said, listen, like I have the cash, like I can show you. And they're like, well, we can't because you don't have that steady income. So I was like, I never want to run into that problem again. And I knew I wasn't going to be like some big trader who makes $1 million and posts on their Instagram, like, come join my schooling program
trading
or
school.
something. Yeah, trading school program. So, no, I was kind of like, when they put the foot down like that, I was like, I still continue to do it. It's great to have, but it was like, I always wanted like that steady income no matter what. But, you know, making money when you're sleeping is always the best. But
yeah, waking up, seeing that your stocks shot through the sky.
You wake up one day and you see a bunch of red, you're like, oh shit. You wake up one day, see a bunch of green, you're like, fucking right. It was absurd, man. It's so, like, being 18, 19, seeing that, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And I was kind of done with my money back then. It's like, oh, I want to go buy a Gucci belt. You're gonna go, nah. Now I'm like the least person who does that. Like, I look up to like a lot of those guys like Zuckerberg and that because they'll be super rich, but just has like white t-shirts, has the same outfit, like same suit they wear every day, whatever, right?
One of my favorite guys like that is Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Because he's got a lot of money, man, but he dresses like he doesn't give a fuck about nothing.
I don't know if I'd dress like that, but but no, he's another person to look up to, I guess, yeah. It's the people that don't flaunt their money, man. Like, it's so easy to go, you're making millions of dollars and you're wearing like $50,000 pants.
It's like, why?
I couldn't tell you if those are from Old Navy or from friggin' Versace.
Right.
So,
yeah. Shout out Old Navy though, man.
Yeah.
I just bought 2 pairs of pants from there.
I got cargo pants there, man. They're pretty nuts. Like the baggy cargo pants.
Yes, sir.
Crazy. I remember I had my friend group from back home, like, we hung out with older people, so like weed smoke and stuff was introduced young. And I ended up getting a few offers for hockey to go away school, like do that. And, you know, it was scary. Like I was like 15 years old, like grade 10 at the time, but it's probably the best decision I've ever made. Like I lost friends from it because I thought like we're always like super tight knit. Like I was from a small community, so they thought that I was kind of like leaving, like kind of pushing them off, you know what I mean? But I came back and I remember I had some beef with some boys back home. We're great now, like best friends. But, you know, they didn't like me for a little bit because they felt that I left them or whatever, right? Like left them back there. But no, it was tough, like going away to school at 15 years old. Like I lived in dorms. So it was like I was alone, but wasn't alone. Like I didn't have my family around. It was in Nova Scotia, so it was like 5 hours away from my house. And there was many times, bro, I was like, just want to say fuck this and go home. But always found a way to kind of push through it. whether that was like talking to someone about it, like on the hockey team, and I was fortunate enough. I'll backtrack a little bit. So, my first year there, I had a roommate who was Chinese, so he's from China. And I was at hockey practice one day. I remember walking back into the dorms, and there's a bunch of ambulance. Like, there's a bunch of ambulance at the school, and I was like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Like, fire or something like that? Or
Right.
someone...
You always assume that first, yeah.
But I remember I was going to walk into my room, I saw a bunch of paramedics. And
In your room?
Yeah, in my room. So it was a dorm room, like two beds, whatever. And I look into it, and my roommate's just not moving. I was like, I didn't really talk to him that much because, like, language barriers and stuff. Like, I was never really... He's still a roommate at the end of the day, right? And we had, like, desks just like any normal, like, university dorm, and he just wasn't moving. Like, they were checking his pulse, like, doing all this. Yeah, at the end, like, kind of fucked me up a little bit.
What had happened to him?
I don't know exactly what happened, if it was like pills or what it was, but tried to kill himself. So he ended up going to the hospital. To this day, I don't know where he is, but he wasn't at the school. Like, they didn't have him back. I think he got some help other place. I hope he's doing well. I'm sure he is, hopefully. But like that was crazy. I ended up having one of my buddies on the hockey team moving, and that helped me out a lot.
Yeah, not being alone.
Talk to him about it, and I didn't want to be alone because it was a small room, so I'd look over and be like, oh, that's weird. Like, buddy just tried to, like, kill himself, right? So it just kind of brought, like, negative energy a little bit. Like, I was super down. Affected, like, my grades a bit. Like, it affected, like, my playing sports. So I was playing rugby and hockey there at the time. I was doing track as well, so it kind of just brought me down. Then I ended up dating this girl from Mexico. She was great. But, no, she helped me a lot through that. And forever grateful. I don't talk to her now. I think she is in Mexico. But
you say you still talk to her?
I don't.
You don't?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
hopefully she's doing well.
Yeah, just kind of moved on in life. Like, it happens. You're young.
Yeah.
But I'll be forever grateful for kind of helping me through those times. Especially, like, my roommate. His name was Christian. He's from Montreal. Great guy. Still talk to him a little bit. But, yeah, he helped me out through a lot, too. And then even just talking, like, I had a really good coach. And before I left for school, I played, like, band of AAA or whatever. And coach wasn't the best. Like, I was getting called so many things, like, at a young age. And where I was good, like, a lot of pressure was put on me. But at the end of the day, I wanted to go out and just play. I just wanted to have fun, right? And if I make a mistake, I'm getting reamed at. Like, I was an assistant captain. He tried to pull that off because I made a mistake, like, one game. Like, it's just... that brought me down a lot, right? Yeah. And then that's, like, it kind of affected my family, right? Because I go home pissed off. And then the same coach I had, kind of fast forward in a couple years. I was in grade 11 at, like, the private school I was at, so it was King's Edgehill. I was doing great, right? Like, I had the girlfriend at the time, doing really well in hockey, doing really well in rugby. That's when I remember, like, I was got selected to go to Canada camp and stuff for rugby, which was crazy. I didn't end up going, which sucked. Should have. Regret I have in my life was that, not going. But that coach reached out to me and was like, we want you to come home, play midget AAA, grade 12, like, offered me a bunch of stuff to come home. So I was like sweet, sounds like a package deal. I get to go home, get all this stuff. Can't really talk about what was offered.
Yeah, no
but
worries.
Like, so I was like, get to graduate with my buddies, like, play this hockey. And I came home, I went to camp, and he cut me. He cut me from the team. Which was like, fuck. And that's probably the, like, most pissed off I've ever been in my life, because I was like, it was felt so betrayed, man. I was like, you literally like asked me to come home, like begged me to come home, put stuff on the table, and then cut me because he said I was too old. I was like,
You knew how old I was?
yeah, it's like, what the hell? Like, anyway, that pissed me off, but a week later he called me back and wanted me back on the team. And I think that was another big decision because it was part of me was like, fuck this guy, like, go play high school with my buddies, whatever, have fun. And then the other part of me was like, I want to play and fucking prove this guy wrong.
Right.
So I ended up playing to kind of prove him wrong, I guess. But it just got worse. Like, name calling and stuff was just worse. Like,
he was worse on you.
Yeah, worse on me. And if you look at, like, stats or whatever, like, I was never, like, a penalty guy, I guess you could say. But that year I led the league in penalty minutes. Because I was taking, like, 10 minutes, like, just fighting or, like, saying shit to, like, the other team or refs and just getting 10-minute penalties, like, all the time. Like, I finished with, like, 120 penalty minutes or something like that. Like, it's crazy.
You were taking your anger out
yeah,
from the coach.
Yeah. And, again, it affected, like, my household, affected other people, affected my friends, family, grades, like, everything. And so it was obviously another tough time. But I didn't want to go back to a therapist, back to that. So I ended up talking to, like, my mom about it. And, she's always been super supportive my whole life, like, super grateful for her. And especially where, like, my parents divorced. So it was, like, single mom. I lived with her and my brother. And it goes back to being a man, right? Because I didn't want to come home, like, with my problems and keep affecting my family,
right?
Especially when you had family and friends going through, like, worse mental health problems. So that was a tough year for me, and then I ended up coming up here with my best friend at the time, like, come to UMB Fredericton. Got playing rugby. Didn't expect much, like, as a rookie, like, coming in. But I don't know. Do you know who Kerr is? Have you met Kerr yet?
I don't think so.
You've probably seen him around. He's one of my, like, really, really good buddies.
I've seen some photos. Yeah. Like, some of the boys look big.
Yeah, it was big.
Old.
Like, now, like I feel big a little bit sometimes, where I never felt like that before.
Yeah.
So.
Man, when I first joined the team, I was like, this team is quite small. But then once they hit the field, watching them play that A team, man, size doesn't always matter.
No.
Like, we have some big boys, don't get me wrong, but nothing like those photos from a few years ago.
But yeah, no, it was crazy, and I think coming up here helped a lot because, again, it was a little bit of an escape. Like, it was kind of like a fresh start, you know what I mean? And then after my first year there, I was doing well. I was in a relationship at the time, so we started dating grade 12, grade 11 of high school, going on like 3 years, whatever. Started to get, like, in that phase where you get into, like, arguments and problems.
Right.
So then that started beating me down a little bit. I remember I started DJing at the time, and she wasn't the biggest fan of that because it kind of put the spotlight on you, right? Because people come and see you, obviously. I won't say you have fans, but, like...
You have supporters.
Yeah, supporters.
Yeah.
And, like, girls would come up to you, whatever, and she didn't like that. Like, she wasn't much of a partier, so that became, like, a big problem. And I remember talking to my mom about it, and my mom was like, if that's what it is, like, if that's where you guys are at, like, don't change the man you are for her.
Right.
So I didn't. We ended up breaking up. And even though, like I ended up breaking up with her, like, it was mutual, it was good, but again, it still, like, fucked you up, right? Because I still loved her. Like, I think I always will love her just because it's, like, first love, like, such a big part of your life, a big chunk of your life.
Well, at that age, 3 years is a long time.
Yeah, it was, I think it ended up being, like, 4 years, I think, or something like that, because it was last April.
Yeah.
Like, right before exams.
That's crazy, man.
But yeah, no, that messed me up a little bit. And then, obviously, kind of got myself over the rut. Started hanging out with the boys more and just tried to enjoy life more. And when I was low, everyone like I became like a way more social person. In the sense, like I always wanted to go out. I always wanted to go do things because back to that escape, right? Whereas now it's like I love to just have like alone time. Like not obviously not every day, every minute of the day you want to be alone, but I think it's super important to, set time for yourself to be alone and go do things like by yourself, whether that's like a walk or like even I'll get out of the house, grab my like school books, go down to a cafe.
Yeah.
Or even to a point where I like go have a one man dinner at a restaurant. Like I was like, this is alone time. And I started to really enjoy that, and I still do. I try to do as much as I can, like for like self love, I guess, and just kind of doing stuff alone. And it's great. Like I'm loving it. But yeah, now I think to the rugby season, like a sports season, there's many highs and lows. I had a few snaps like throughout the year where just frustration and other things affecting like your play. Then I got reading some books. So Nick gave me a book actually about like being a character, and I took a lot of that in, and I think I kind of started to change a little bit like towards the end of last year because I started implementing the stuff I learned into it. Because where people start out in a sport, there's different levels of skill, and that bothered me a little bit because I think there's a group of us that were there to win, like train hard every day, but there was guys there for fun, right? And I think that got to me a little bit, but
Right.
now I've realized that that's what it's gonna be, and just kind of dealing with that, like living with that. And realizing that people are going to be at different levels. But at the end of the day, like, they're still a human being. They're still your brother at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I like our team so much, is because, like, we're all tight-knit. Like, I could have a conversation with everyone where, like, in the past, playing on certain, like, hockey teams I talked with, there's some guys I probably spoke 2 words to all year.
Which is tough, man. Yeah.
But I remember... like I did get a few offers from rugby at other schools, like to go kind of take that step up, but everything I came back to was I don't want to leave the boys. Like I want to do it for the boys, and that's why I have the Ironman tattoo now, because it'd be part. It's always gonna be a part. I mean, you're gonna have those friends forever, right?
Right.
So
for so long, we're just embedded and told that. Men aren't allowed to be sad because we're supposed to be like caregivers for women and children or whatever. But
yeah, well, I think like when you look at a man, or when people do look at a man, it's like they expect you to be tough. They expect you not to have problems. Like, you're a man, you're big and bold, right? But at the end of the day, like, everyone has issues, man. Like,
yeah.
Everyone, like, it will be like, I will put money on it. Like, go ask everyone if they ever had problems. You'll never find anyone that just had like a steady no problem life. Like,
Yeah.
everyone at least had one like super low point in their life. It might not be now, it might have been years ago, but at one point it is gonna happen. And one thing that stuck with me when I was going through it was, I forget what video it was. I was scrolling on something, but it's like life's like an arrow, right? Like your bow and arrow. Go back, go back, go back. You can go back the furthest point and it'd be the deepest, like lowest of the low. But what happens to an arrow when you let go, right?
Yeah.
Goes
right.
forward, right? So that's what I try to think of. Like, anytime I'm at a super low point, I'm learning. Like, this is a learning curve, and it's gonna go up from here, or I'm gonna focus on coming up from here, because I want to be that arrow that shoots forward, not drag back. So, because I remember talking about therapists you just mentioning. I had anger management when I was a kid. Just like with my life bringing up, I was a little physical, and I started talking to this therapist, and he was like an older man. He was like, I think, 5-minute drive from my house, and he was helping me a lot. And one thing he said, the very first time we sat down, was, if you had a hammer right now, would you just start hitting yourself with it? I was like, no. Like, why would I do that? He's like, so why would you do that, like, to your feelings, I guess, right? Like, if you're feeling low, why would you beat yourself down more? And I talked to him a lot. I think it was, like, twice a week, maybe. But he ended up passing away. So he passed away, which is sad. But to go and open up to someone, it's hard to just move on and go start talking to someone else, right? It's like basically just spilt like everything on this guy. And when he passed away, like I was still seeing him like at that time, so it like fucked me up a little bit. And I kind of just fell a little deep because I didn't want to go like talk to anyone else. And that's when I had like family and friends that were having like some suicidal thoughts and stuff sometimes. So it's like they're worse than me. So like I kind of took a step back, I guess you say, like trying to focus on helping them. And that goes to what I said earlier, like a good man and a nice guy. Like at that time, like I was being like a nice guy, I felt in a sense where I was trying to help other people, but I wasn't helping myself like in the same time. So I was trying to find stuff that helped me. At that time, it's when I got into like meditation. Like I meditate a lot, meditate every morning.
Even still?
Yeah, every morning, even still. And I don't know if you even you see me like at the rugby field, like before the game. I'll always go find the highest point in the stadium. I'll just sit, just think, breathe, throw on some like smooth music, like chill music. People are listening to like Eminem, like getting fired up.
Right.
Just like, let's get relaxed, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a game. You want to give it your best. But I found for me, I was always the best when I was happy. So it was like I try to be happy before the game rather than I'll like
get angry by listening to
like angry up.
Yeah, intense music.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to play for a lot of teams, even at like the senior men's level, whether that's club here for the Loyalists or I was one of the youngest guys on the team for Team New Brunswick, like senior men's, and I don't think like at the end of the day, like I think everyone's a good person. Like I've never had like a full on beef or like fist fight with someone like on the team,
right?
Unless it's like on the field, boys get heated like just because you're competitors, right? You're competing against each other, whether that's like a touch game in practice. But at the end of the day, like it goes to show, like at the end of like example, you play a team. At the end of the game, you have a beer with them, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no
you
other
go right
sport
to the clubhouse.
like
Yeah,
like
right.
hockey, they don't even shake hands. Like
right.
they just dip out and like get on with your life. Where rugby's the opposite, and that's why I like it so much more, right? And just goes from what you're saying. It's great brotherhood. I've met like some of my best friends now. Have been on the rugby team. Fortunate enough to meet a lot of people throughout my lifetime with that, and yeah, some of them will be at my wedding someday. So
yes, sir. Well, I do think like you said, everything you said about rugby and the rugby players, I agree with 100%. When I first started playing, it was like, why are we cheering for the ref? Why are we cheering for the other team? You know, like hip hip hooray or whatever for the ref. And it was just like, why do we do this? But it's just respect, and they truly do care about each other. What's it like playing sports with your brother? How close are you guys in age?
So my brother's 2 years younger.
So like growing up playing hockey, like you wouldn't have got to play much with him until midget, right?
Yeah, no. So I was sorry, Drew, but I was kind of like a better athlete in the sense. He was more inclined, like he'd kick my ass at video games and shit. Like
he got all the looks, you got all the athletic. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, people think we're twins, so I'll take either or.
I did think that as well. So,
but. No, we never really got to play with each other. We did in grade 8, so we had a co-ed 7s team in grade 8, and it was rugby. I wouldn't call it rugby, but got to play with him, and that's where it started. And then he quit rugby, like didn't play all throughout high school until grade 12, because he was going into grade 12, and I was going into my last year with the U20 Team New Brunswick team.
Okay.
And I don't know if he knows this, but they wanted me to play really bad, and I was kind of like on the fence. I said I'd play if they took my brother on the team. So they ended up taking my brother, and it was the best decision ever, right? Like it brought us super close. just because like being that older brother, right? Like you want to be that role model, and being able to play sports with him is probably my favorite part of it. Like I love the boys, I love all that, but being able to play with him is you know, pretty surreal. Even to the point now, like he's up in Fred now, so like I hang out with him all the time. Like comes to like my sets all the time. Like we're the definition of true brothers, basically. Where we weren't really that close all before because I was away for school. I didn't get to see him much, but now I think we're closer than ever right now. And yeah, even being able to play with him is pretty nuts. I am harder on him just because he's my brother, but
naturally, yeah.
He knows that, and at the end of the day, you know, we'll hug it out and tell him I love him and stuff like that. But
good.
No, it's crazy. Even just being able to spend time with him now is great, and even over like this past long weekend, like Family Day weekend, we were both up here. We have a mom at home, but you know, most of the family's up here between me and my brother. My mom's at home, you know, 2 and 1. And he stayed at my house like the whole week, and like we just hung out and like
That's
shot
awesome.
the shit, right? And I had my dog up, so we're just doing stuff, and we're just enjoying more things together now, like doing stuff together, which, you know, you kind of lose maybe a little bit when you're younger. So yeah, having him around is great because it helps me too, right? Become a better person on a day-to-day basis. So
That's awesome.
be forever grateful for that.
Yes, sir. He must look up to you, though, because he's here at UNB,
Yeah.
living in Fredericton, playing rugby. It's everything that you kind of did the last couple of years. It's like he's starting to do very similar things. I love Drew, man. He was one of the very first people to reach out to me on the team, him and Tack both.
Yeah.
It kind of helped that I lived where I was staying before I lived here was directly across the street from where they're
was it?
staying. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
But yeah, how's your relationship with like your mother?
Yeah, my mother's awesome, man. Like I could sit here and talk for 3 hours on how great she is, like the stuff she's done for me. Like she's sacrificed a lot. And not kind of having that positive father role model at times kind of screwed me up a little bit. But I think in the end, like it's made me the man who I am today, and for the better part, because I kind of know what to do and what not to do, because I know how it's affected, like my family, like now. Because I remember like being younger. My parents used to fight a lot early when they're kind of getting divorced. They divorced when I was right before I started kindergarten.
Oh,
so he was like young, and my brother was 2 years younger, so he couldn't really like. I don't think he really knew like what was going on, so that came up in like later life.
Right.
Just where there has been issues in the past, and it's hard, man. Like it is. But seeing my mom go through that and see how she is now, man, it's kind of she is my role model. Like we kind of like, I don't even know what to say. Like I could sit here and talk for hours, but just briefly, like, you know, she's been a huge part of my life, and she's been amazing, and I tell her every day, and she's probably one of the few people that I'll talk to on the phone and say I love you every time, like I hang up the phone, right? But yeah, she's great, and she's got a boyfriend now who's great to her, so it's good to see all that happening out, because she does deserve the world, and she does deserve that, so
Yes, sir.
being able to see that, it's amazing, man.
Well, I'm glad that she found someone and she's doing well. She's happy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's great. And
It's
it's
good.
like, yeah,
Sorry.
she enjoys her life, and we're here, and she loves it, and she comes up all the time, and it's great. Yeah, no. Life's been a whirlwind. It's been a roller coaster for sure. But I think we're smoothing the road a bit, cover the potholes up. We're on the highway here. I'm sure there'll be bumps on the road, but now we know kind of how to deal with it sometimes. It's easier to kind of do it now than kind of trial and error before, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I love that. Big issue for me for a long time. One, I didn't have very many friends. But two, I was hanging out with people that didn't have the best intentions or the
Drag
best
you down,
goals.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't want to say like they like, because honestly, a lot of the people I'd spend most of my time with, they're great people. They're have good intentions, but yeah, sometimes I was hanging out with people that didn't, and that just made me feel a lot worse. So yeah, having that good support system, whether it's a girlfriend or a good buddy, your parents, your actual brother or sister, it's very important and can make a huge difference. But yeah, like the pod, it is for people that are struggling. So the odds are these people, like I guess, like if you have friends that you know, like reach out to them because they do care about you. And if you don't have very many people, then yeah, like go for a walk. Like you meditate, and we play rugby, which is extremely helpful. I was big on football, man. Like I have friends right now who are playing professional football here in the Canadian Football League, and one of them was my really good friend throughout high school. The other one was like my best friend's older brother, and they're both doing extremely well. But a big part of me is like, you know, that could have been me.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to say I was equally as good as them, because man, like they were always up here. Even if I was like here, like they were up here. But like I could have been there, man, playing along center or you know, backup linebacker, whatever. I could have been there. And I've never even played university football. Like I played at the University of St. John with the Seawolves.
Yeah.
But you know as well as I do, like that's not true university football. My head coach was only a year older than me with the year that I played. So like we had 3 players at practice, the practice before our first game.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 coaches, 3 players.
I was never really into football. I played for a solid like 2 weeks in high school. Didn't last very long. I didn't like having all that gear on, just where I was rugby. But my family does play it. Like my cousin's at Queens right now for it, and he's doing well.
Awesome.
Massive dude. Like it's crazy. Yeah. Wow. Sometimes you wish you got his size and
so many times
playing rugby. But yeah, no, sports play a big part into it, man. Like 100%. I can't, exaggerate it enough. Like, if I didn't have sports, sometimes I think about where I would be, like mentally. Because like you said, like it's helped you so much, and it's helped me so much. Especially on the note, like, that's why I guess when I go to practice and someone's like acting out or something, like, try not to lash out, because you don't know what someone's been through. You like, even at a bar fight downtown, like, you don't know what that guy's been through. Like, he could have been through hell.
Right.
But it's always kind of playing that into, like, putting that into effect, because someone could be out, like, acting like the happiest man in the room, but inside he's, like, deteriorating, like he's hurting, right? And that's what I've always found. Like, I watched a YouTube video there and podcast, and a guy said it's normally the ones that are the brightest in the room that are hurting the most on the inside, because it goes back to that nice guy, good man thing, right? And then even, with family, like I've had a couple family members that I've walked in on who have tried to end their life, and like I was talking to you earlier, like that plays a big thing, and that's why I've brought some of them on with me to kind of help them and have them by my side, because showing that, like me in the past, like, I've got through some stuff, if I take them with me and, like, bring them kind of on a journey, that they can hopefully get past it too. So yeah, just trying to do that and just trying to help people and spread it around. Like I mentioned before, I wasn't really open about talking to mental health, but now, like, I'll share my stories with anyone, right? Because, like I said, you don't know what someone's going through,
right?
And those heart to hearts that you have. So yeah, it's a big part of life, and hoping that you can help people, like, around you, because it makes you feel good too, right? Like, you help someone through something, it makes you feel great, because you're like, oh yeah, I played a part in helping that person on their journey. So,
like, I felt so much better when I was helping someone else. Whether, like, I raised money and accepted donations of clothing and like hats, brand new toques and mitts and stuff to donate to different reserves and different schools here in New Brunswick. And it made me feel so much better.
Social media too, like, it's easy to get on and scroll for hours, and I find like when you're scrolling through like TikTok or something, like you watch a video and it gives you that in like dopamine for like 30-second video, right? And that's why like I've tried to cut social media out like as much as possible, because you know, back to focusing on yourself, like don't want to go and kind of just scroll for hours and kind of doom scroll and get caught like kind of in the matrix, I guess people could call it, or you could call it. Cutting out like social media, I think, is a big part on my journey, and how I kind of grew as a person was that like I take breaks quite often. You know, I have time limits set like on certain social medias, and I've dropped certain social medias. Like I got Snapchat back now and stuff just because of like group chats and stuff like for teams. But normally if I'm not, I try to cut that out. Try to stay off as much as I can in the day, and just back to self-love and doing things like on your own is also a huge part. So
yeah, man, no, I agree 100%. And I wish you wouldn't have mentioned social media, because I can talk for hours about that. But just briefly, yeah, like everybody's different and everyone's brain functions differently. So like we have this idea of being normal, and that social media and just society in general have been in, like that's been in place. Like, oh, we have to act this way to be successful or to be normal. But it's like, that's not the truth. Sure, I take medication now to be normal, but that's like I need it, one, because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I fit in more, and it will help me be more successful in life, in today's life, because there is no way of getting around it. But things have gotten a lot worse since social media has been around, extremely worse. But social media is very powerful too.
So
because
educational, man.
We'll be able to get this message out through social medias, whether it be YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. But this message will go out, and I just think more people need to take a stand, and men especially. Like I've known, so many people that I know, and people that I know so many people, like people I'm connected with through people, have committed suicide, attempted, whether they were successful or not. I just want to emphasize the men aspect of it, just because I know so many men who feel so shitty about themselves to the point where they want to take their own lives, and it's just devastating, you know, because people care about you, people love you, no matter what you're going through. There's going to be someone there, whether it's a complete stranger or it's somebody that you know. Like they're going to be there for you, and like we don't want anyone to like die ever. I know death's not optional, but it doesn't have to happen anytime soon. You know, like live a healthy, long life, and like that's what we want for everyone. So yeah, I guess like that would be a good way to end. Just know that, you know, you're not alone and people care about you, and I just want to say thanks to you, Keegan, for being here today. It means a lot. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
it's great to have. It's great to talk about and spread the word. And you know, I'm super appreciative that you kind of started this, right? Because you don't see this a lot. Like you don't see podcasts and people opening up, especially men, like you talked about. So I think, especially on the athlete perspective, like people go through stuff on a day-to-day basis. So, just grateful you started this, man. I'm glad you had me on me, and you know, it was a slice. It was fun.
Yeah, man, I agree. Appreciate you very much.
Yeah,
and until next time, man. I'm sure we'll be on again.
Yeah.